Hello, I'm Mario Toneguzzi, and I'm taking care of business. Joining me today is Tanya Eklund, a realtor with the Tanya Eklund Group. Tanya, really interesting February we've seen with statistics in the resale housing market in Calgary. A record month of sales in February, up 80%, 80.5% year over year. Benchmark price just under 500,000, the highest it's ever been, up 16.1% year over year. But the inventory of homes for sale is down 20% comparatively to a year ago. And bear in mind, a year ago was a record year in MLS sales in Calgary. So first of all, what's happening in the market and why? And can we expect this to continue as we move into the hot spring season?
It's a really great question, Mario, and I've heard varying opinions on what's going on or what we think is going to happen. We do know that the Fed's raised interest rates to 0.5% in hopes to temper the craziness that we're seeing throughout Canada and in other provinces as well. And I'm not sure that that's really going to slow things down a whole lot. I think that may affect the first-time home buyers the most, and maybe in what they end up purchasing. Instead of a detached home, they may have to purchase a townhouse. Even though we are low inventory in the last couple of weeks, we've really started to see a lot more inventory come to the market. I just read a report yesterday from one of the banks that they do believe that it's still going to be a very strong market in the spring, but maybe not this crazy frenzy that we've experienced for the last 30 days. So as we see a more inventory enter the market, they still expect it's going to be a seller's market, but that, it might calm down a little bit.
Okay, let's talk about two different aspects, obviously, of the housing market. You have buyers and you have sellers. First of all, let's talk about buyers, Tanya. What are you telling them these days, the people that you're working with looking to buy a house? What advice are you giving them?
The biggest advice we're giving them, and this is dependent on what price range they're buying in. If they're buying under $1 million, then they have to have their financing in order. We're saying talk to your bank to see if you even need a financing condition. Because if you have a financing condition and there's 15 other offers, you're not going to stand a chance. So get your finances in order and get something in writing from your bank if you can write without subject to financing. If you're buying a condo, let's try to get all of those condo docs ahead of time so we can do a quick review and we don't have to write a condition. If you're buying a home, talk about having an inspection versus not. If you're not having an inspection, it's called buyer beware. You have to be aware of what might go wrong with this house and you have to take it as is where is. And so a lot of buyers, the first 2-3 times, they're not prepared to write an unconditional offer. And then if people are really needing a home, we're seeing these buyers having to make those decisions on whether they're comfortable writing that. And so really educating your buyers based on what price range they're in. If you're over $1 million price point, things aren't moving quite as quickly in the time period that the under $1 million detached is. So it really is dependent on.
Let's talk about sellers. When you have a home listed for sale, what are you telling the sellers what to expect and what advice are you giving them?
Yeah, well, as always, have your home prepared for sale, have it showing its best, have it staged. That is just, I still tell my sellers that today, but we really preparing our sellers for the pace. And so when your home gets listed, you have to be prepared that you might have 30 showing requests in 2 days. And sellers, if you don't tell them that, they're very, very overwhelmed. And so have that discussion with them and also have the discussion now. That may not be the case, but be prepared to be out of your home for 2 to 3 days to let everybody in. And it is challenging getting people in these days. We're seeing some showings that sellers are only allowing 30 minutes in a showing. And that's another thing you have to prepare your buyers for. And as far as pricing is very difficult. I say you can't price a home too low right now, but you can price it too high because really the buyers are telling you what your home is worth. When you have a home at $549,000 that sells for $576,000, which just happened to us a couple days ago, we don't know where that price is going to end up, but pricing it within reality is still important. And then the buyer will dictate what your home is worth.
Yeah. And when you're looking at, either from a buyer's or seller's standpoint, the word patience comes to mind to me, right? If you're, I know it's tough if you're a buyer and you're in this kind of frenzied market to be patient and not make a quick and hasty decision, right? And I guess for the sellers too, right? Because you may want to jump at the first offer you get, but you might be getting a lot more offers, right?
Yeah, well, you could. And actually, Mario, that brings me to just a very good point for buyers and sellers. Agents have to take the instruction of their sellers. And so what we're seeing is some sellers are listing on a Monday and saying all offers presented Thursday at 3. But if a bully offer comes in on Wednesday for 80,000 over list with no conditions, that seller has the right to take that offer, even though they've said offers are presented Thursday. And so realtors have to educate their buyers that, look, it says they're presenting at this time, but if you're really serious, let's put in a really high offer that they can't refuse, and maybe they'll accept it. So you have to educate your buyers and sellers in kind of the process these days, because it's very different.
A couple of quick questions for you, Tanya. What kind of homes are really attractive for people these days? What are people looking for to buy?
Well, the detached home sector under 750, and that's where we're seeing a lot of out of province buyers coming in as investors. Properties that have suites. A lot of people want to buy land. It's very tough to find land right now. But anything under 750,000 in the detached, the duplex, and anything under that 250, 300 for condos seems to be a hotbed for investors coming out of province and purchasing. And then we've also seen a lot of investors come in and say, we want to purchase a home as a pre-sale and not take possession for 1 to 2 years. So they want to make that down payment and wait a year or two until the home is done.
Yeah. And the other question I have for you is, are there any pockets of neighborhoods in the city that are more active right now in terms of sales, or is it just straight across the board?
I'm seeing straight across the board, and that is really dependent on the buyer's needs, but also the investor's needs. And you can get, you can have a great investment property in Mahogany or Tuscany or Marteloup. I think that with the urban sprawl of our city and all of the amenities in a lot of these further out communities, that the investment is going to be great regardless.
Mm-hmm. All right, super. Thanks for joining us today, Tanya.
Thank you, Mario.
All right, that was Tanya Eklund of the Tanya Eklund Group, a realtor here in Calgary. I'm Mario Toneguzzi. This has been Taking Care of Business. Thanks for joining us today.